Well, joining us now in the studio is the Labour MP Rupa, who had her own meeting with Theresa May yesterday. Rupa, what did you discuss with her yesterday?
It ranged from various things. It was largely Brexit, but there was a moment in which she was talking about she knows something or other as Home Secretary. And I said, is it like Bodyguard then? And she didn't know.
Did you get a laugh out of that?
She said, I think she turned to her aide and she hadn't seen it. So then I said, are you more of a sort of Fleabag person then? She did not know what I was on.
She does have rather pressing things on her.
She's got a lot on her plate. As I pointed out, that, we know you've put in the hours and I'm grateful that you've agreed to see me.
But when you were talking to her about Brexit, you stand behind calls for a second referendum. What did she have to say to you?
I mean, the thing is, this meeting was asked when we hadn't had the Yvette Cooper bill, when she hadn't lost the third meaningful vote. So I'd requested it then. So loads of things are changing by the minute. Stuff's happened this morning I've not totally followed because I've been in a school in Acton. However, I did put to her the second referendum case. I wanted to know, first of all, what changed since the Yvette Cooper bill, since she'd done a statement as well. So sort of which red lines. In fact, it was the start of the talks. I think that's when she agreed to meet me. Initially, I'd requested it before that. But, what is she prepared to bend on? Because this whole never-ending stalemate has been when you have people that put in red lines who won't budge. And it's this bizarre tug-of-war that she could go towards, say, ERG and DUP and those people who she normally listens to advice for, or come to a more Labour-type customs union position. So that's sort of how I got my foot in the door for the meeting. And she did not seem keen on a second referendum. I mean, I just think that this mandate is getting really old now. 2016, so many things have happened since then.
And Trump potentially going to be even older if we get these long extensions.
Exactly, if we add another year to this. So, I mean, every day it gets more long ago that happened, and it gets less and less valid. So I was trying to put the point to her that also the Remain or Leave mandate was a very blunt question. It was an abstract concept, whereas now, when we have actually workable proposals on the table, that's what we should measure against. And the thing we should be measuring is remaining, because we know that works for the functioning of our country. And some of these other things that have been floated are, frankly, unicorns.
But there is a sense, isn't there, that, you're talking about the compromise from the Prime Minister and she's afraid to kind of upset her ERGs, but there's also pressures on your leader, and of course that neither of them want to be seen to have been weak in the face of these conversations between the two of them. So Jeremy Corbyn, many members of his party don't want him to offer a second confirmatory referendum because there are, of course, lots of constituencies, Labour constituencies, who voted to leave and would see a second referendum on this as a betrayal.
I mean, look, we have a divided country. We have families who are divided, parties who are divided, Theresa May's own cabinet who are divided.
Just open those up again. I mean, if the government and if Parliament and if, the people who are elected to discuss these things can't make a decision themselves, how on earth are we as a nation supposed to be making?
And first of all, it's a pretty close result. So 48-52 is not a huge flattening thing. It's
so if there's a similar result again, do we say another referendum?
The proposal, the Kyle Wilson amendment, that one, that I don't know if it's coming back, but we voted on it last week, and it had the most support from MPs of all the different multiple choice options we were faced with, says that whatever deal comes out of this, it should go back to the people for a sort of ratification, confirmation. Do you want this? Because it's a measurable proposal. So if you think about in the Republic of Ireland, they changed their abortion law recently. It was 70-30 because the exact wording of what they were getting was put to everyone. So I think it's very different when you know what it is. And I think it could be a sort of healing process to have another referendum. I know you might think it sounds bizarre, but people are hardening, and this is what I pointed out to the Prime Minister, that the Leave people now want no deal, which is a very extreme form of leaving. It means no regulation, no transition period. It is like jumping out of a plane with no parachute. And the Remain people, 6 million of them have signed a petition wanting to completely rescind Article 50. I mean, that's like that series of Dallas where Bobby Ewing, you may be too young to remember, woke up in the shower and it was all a dream, the whole thing. I mean, I think we can't pretend this hasn't happened because people voted in good faith for things they thought they would get. They thought they'd get £350 million extra for the NHS every week. I mean, if you add up how much that's cost so far, none of that's going to happen. So they voted in good faith for stuff that's not going to materialise. So when there's a measurable proposal, put it back to them. This is the workable version of Leave. The other stuff won't fly. It's been signed off by the EU. Do you want it? Or you want to remain? Because we don't have to do this. I think it could heal
Jeremy
people.
Corbyn, though, is very
extremes.
much in the driving seat, isn't he, here? Because Theresa May relies on him and his support to get through whatever she's going to get through. But a lot of people feel that he's been so ambiguous about his position. Does it give you confidence with him there in the room that he's going to deliver what his party want?
I mean, the party is a democratic party, so hundreds of Labour members at the conference in September thrashed out a resolution whereby we go for different sort of options, see what is achievable, and then at the end, if we're staring no deal in the face, particularly, a referendum is not a bad idea. In fact, I think any deal should be subject to a referendum. But, you know, Jeremy Corbyn has not really been in the driving seat. It's just very latterly, after the leaving date, that she said she'll reach out to other parties. Theresa May leads a minority government, and she acts like a medieval monarch, this sort of way that she thinks she's all-powerful. It doesn't happen with minority governments. You should reach out across the aisle, make friendships with people from other parties, not keep your arms folded, or worse still, negotiate with the hardliners behind you who are all trying to stab you in the back anyway.
Just very briefly before we let you go, the bookies have slashed the odds on a second referendum. Do you think it's getting more likely? Just very briefly.
I hope so. I just think it's the sensible thing to do. I don't really believe in polls because twice they've shown that I'll never win. And I'm not a betting person. So, I mean, I don't know about that speculation, but I really think it's the sensible thing to reunite the extremes in both of our country and get on with life.
OK. All right, Rupa, very good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.